Yo, what's going on? DeeSimilar here. We're kicking off Black Ops 6 with a brand new worst to best. This is a recurring series on my channel where I share my rankings of all the assault rifles from worst to best, hence the name, and that is after having a decent amount of experience in unlocking mastery camos with each weapon. This is my sole opinion, so if you happen to disagree, you're welcome to share your own opinions and worst to best list in the comments. I also invite you to drop a like on this video and please consider subscribing to the channel. We're on the way to 50,000 subscribers and I am anxious to hit that. So let's dive into things. First up is the worst at the bottom of the list. I have the AMES 85 in 7th place. This is your traditional assault rifle and it's fairly well-rounded, but to me personally, this is the one and only AR that I do not like using because it feels a little slow to kill. And I verified that is a valid feeling because it is the second slowest assault rifle when it comes to TTK. I also find the AMES to be a little sluggish, as noticeably slower reload and like weapon swap speeds. I just find it to be inconsistent, and the recoil is a little too tricky for its own good. The recoil is nothing insane, but it just has too much going against it for what it is. Now, does all this mean the AMES is a terrible, unusable weapon? No, not at all. I mean, the assault rifles at launch are pretty well balanced, and you can do well with either of them. The AMES just feels a little bit behind the rest, in my opinion, and I just don't prefer to use it. At number 6, I have the GPR-91. This is a full auto AR that certainly feels weak compared to the others. It felt like it killed slower than average, and I have verified that it does have the slowest time to kill for the assault rifles at launch. However, the GPR has no recoil, essentially. There's no horizontal deviation whatsoever, and the recoil just goes straight up with a slight pull to the left. It is very easy to use, and it makes this weapon one of the most consistent guns I've used so far in Black Ops 6. It also has noticeably faster movement speeds, and it stands out with fast handling speeds. So what it lacks in stopping power, it makes up for in usability, and it's just a fun assault rifle to use. I may be at a slight disadvantage using the GPR, but it doesn't feel bad. It's not my first pick, but I certainly do prefer it over the AMES. At number 5, I have the Model L assault rifle. This is your slow firing but high damage archetype. It's one of the first few ARs I use, and I loved it because the Model L feels very strong. It kills in 4 shots opposed to 5 like most assault rifles. However, I've learned that it can be tricky to use. If you can kill within the first 5 shots, the model is incredibly consistent because the first 5 shots have very low recoil and they just go straight up. After your first 5 shots, it starts to zigzag and then it'll drift right and then it'll drift left. And that's where the model becomes inconsistent, and I've learned that's the reason why sometimes I do great with this weapon and sometimes I can struggle with it. Over time, I have preferred this weapon less and less as I got more experience with the other assault rifles, but I do think it is a solid choice. It is fun to use, and I just think it's average in the bigger picture. Now we move into the top 4, and all of these assault rifles bring a lot to the table, and I can see arguments for either of these being the best. But at number 4, I have the AS Val. This is the only rifle that includes an integrated suppressor, so you're always off the radar. Although I don't think of this as an assault rifle really, it's more of an SMG AR hybrid. It has fast ADS, fast reload, and it has the fastest time to kill in class within the close to medium range. It can absolutely melt your targets when your shots connect, but the AS Val has a lot of recoil, which I find to be troublesome, especially when you consider how fast you're firing these bullets. As an assault rifle, I find it to be less reliable at mid to long range, and that, fast time to kill on paper isn't going to be very helpful when I'm missing shots because of its recoil pattern. I do think this is the perfect assault rifle for Nuketown. I actually reconsidered its positioning when I whipped it out on Nuketown the other day. But I do think the AS Val is limited on standard maps. It also defaults with a 20-round mag. Can't believe I almost forgot to mention that. And you burn through ammo very quickly with this weapon. I think an extended mag is required for you to feel comfortable using the AS Val. And using those mags will put your handling averages about 20 to 40 milliseconds behind the other assault rifle loadouts. So the AS Val, it is strong, but I think it lacks some versatility, which keeps it being any higher on my list. But again, don't get me wrong, all these top 4 weapons are very, very good. At number 3, I have the XM4. This is a traditional assault rifle, kind of what you would think of when you think of a Call of Duty assault rifle. It's well-rounded and it excels in many situations. To be honest, I was not a fan of the XM4 at first, but unlocking attachments and just mixing up some of my loadouts with it just made me fall in love with this weapon. I remember that actually being a thing that happened to me during the beta as well. Didn't like it at first, grown to love it. It will beam people at all ranges, especially long ranges. It's actually the fastest killing assault rifle at long ranges currently in Black Ops 6. I think the XM4 feels quick, it feels snappy, and it has low recoil if you manage it. It will go straight up for the first 15 shots, but then it will pull very strongly to the right. So you want to try to avoid dumping more than half a mag at a time. But I mean, overall, this XM4 lacks downsides. I think it's a good weapon that can be elevated to greatness. At the runner-up second best spot for the assault rifles, we have the Goblin Mark II. This is the only semi-auto rifle in the game right now, and it packs quite the punch. It is a 3-shot kill, and on paper, the Goblin actually kills faster than the AS Val. But in practice, with like a realistic fire rate and a realistic trigger finger, the Goblin is more competitive with the AK and the XM4, unless you're going for headshots. The Goblin will 2-shot kill to the head up to 6 meters, which isn't that far, but the key to using this weapon is to use the headshot multiplier barrel, where it will boost that 2-shot kill up to 40 meters, which covers a lot of your engagements, at least in multiplayer. Now, this does have some recoil gimmicks, we'll call them. It does have a notable first shot jump and then some horizontal wobble. So you'll want to use the muzzle that reduces vertical recoil and the underbarrel that reduces horizontal recoil. And then you'll have yourself a laser beam that beams people at all ranges. This just feels so nice to use. That leaves us with one and only one weapon left for the best spot. Before we jump into that, a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please drop a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel. On the road to 50,000 subscribers, and I'm very much looking forward to reaching that. But yeah, there's only one weapon left at the number 1 spot. That is the AK-74. This is your traditional AK-47. It's not the 74U SMG hybrid. Don't get it mixed up. I don't know why the numbers flipped for Black Ops 6, but the AK-74 is that traditional slow-firing, high-damage assault rifle, kind of similar to the Model L. The thing with the AK-74, though, is that it has the fastest time to kill at all ranges. The only exception is the AS Val. It beats the AK by 8 milliseconds on paper, but when you consider all the external factors, it's a pretty even match. The only downside I see with the AK-74 is that it has slower handling speeds, but honestly, I don't see that being much of a hindrance in actual gameplay. It has some shaky recoil, but it's very easy to correct with attachments. Like the first 10 shots are very tight, which is more than enough to get 2 to 3 kills with your AK-74, and then it drifts to the right a bit, but again, very easy to manage because it has a slower fire rate. It's not like it's climbing very fast like the AS Val. I just find it to be a very consistent assault rifle with all the attachment combos I have used on it. I found success using the rapid fire mod. I always feel like I have control with my AK. It does what I expect it to do. It's consistent. I mean, what else is there to say? But again, this is just my opinion. You're welcome to leave your own worst to best list down below in the comments or criticize mine, whatever you feel like doing. But yeah, that's the worst to best for the Black Ops 6 assault rifles. Leave a comment if you have a preference for which weapon class I do next. please, 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 if you haven't yet, hit that like button on this video. You watched the entire video, you must have liked it, and get subscribed to the channel. We have more content like this coming out in the near future. My name is DeeSimilar. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch y'all on the next video. Peace.